This week on the Socratic Cinema podcast.
You guys didn't think we could do it. We just did it. We put Evangelion and Soul together into one analysis. This is why we call ourselves Socratic Cinema.
That was pretty dang impressive. Isn't it a little, like, pedophilic?
Well,
only if you think about it.
yes. In our
I'm
terms,
staring
yes.
Kasey dead in the eyes. Kasey, that's your thing. Don't let me take
That's
this
my
from you.
thing.
Don't let me take this from the movie colonized ability projection.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Socratic Cinema podcast. I'm Kasey Clark.
I'm Charlie Heatherly.
And I'm James DeLisio.
This week, we're doing our recordathon. This is episode 3. We're pumping these out. We're feeling good.
Yeah, we're feeling good. Grind don't stop. We busted out the cozies and the blankies, and we're feeling right as rain.
Yes.
Ready
Yes.
to blast through these last couple casts for you guys.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So this episode, we're going to be focusing on the new Pixar movie, Soul, exclusively released on Disney+.
Yeah. I don't have to pay for it this time.
Right? It's not
Sheesh.
behind the... Wow.
That was so nice to
Amazing.
see. I probably wouldn't have paid $30 for Soul.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I would have either.
I don't know if it's worth it value-wise.
In retrospect, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
But-
unclear. I mean, that's the thing about it, though, is you won't know how good it's going to be until you've already
Buy
paid
it,
the money.
yeah.
So it's like...
I'd wait it out. Like,
Yeah, I would. I mean,
Typically,
Mulan.
that's how a lot of products work, though, is if, you personally don't know how good it is until you pay the money for
okay.
the thing.
Right,
I mean,
that's
what?
true.
Sure.
But Soul it exceeded my expectations.
It exceeded mine greatly. I had pretty low expectations, honestly.
Yeah, but I'll throw it to Charlie for his initial thoughts.
I thought Soul was really, really good. Out of the 5 movies that we watched for this is my second favorite. Easy, I think this movie deserves an 8.5. I thought it was really charming. I was not the biggest fan of its message or like the way that it went about sort of getting to the point that it made, but I still think that there's a lot of interesting themes that they went with in this movie. I think that all of the voice actors did a great job. The animation is obviously like insanely good because it's Pixar. Like the level of detail that they're now rendering at is crazy, and I can't wait to see where this goes in the future. But I think it's a really good Pixar movie. I don't think it surpasses the likes of something like Inside Out, which is more of Pete Docter's work. Although I do want to talk a lot about Pete Docter, the movies he makes, and why I think he's a really interesting filmmaker. But yeah, I mean, I think that Soul is really a solid animated movie and deserves to be considered one of Pixar's better ones. I mean, this beats Cars 3. So
It does beat Cars 3. Wouldn't you know? I think Soul is a byproduct of what I think Pixar is in a new era of movies. I think they've gone from kind of the child-friendly-ish, more for fun films like Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Toy Story, and I feel like we're in what I think of it as I call it deep Pixar. All right, we got I think of deep Pixar as Inside Out or Onward or this movie. I think it's deep Pixar where it's still family friendly, but they have these very subversive messages and themes, and they are very good. They're very well done. Don't get me wrong. I love deep Pixar, but Soul makes me a little bit scared for the day that they can't outdo the deepness of the last movie. Inside Out was pretty deep, and then Onward outdid that, and then this one outdid Onward in terms of deepness, I think, or subversiveness maybe is a better word, but Soul got pretty deep. I don't know how much deeper they can go, but nonetheless, I want to be cynical about this and talk about how it's not sustainable, but Soul is really freaking good. I loved Soul. Contrary to Charlie, I love the message. I'm all about it, and I love seeing some jazz representation in the movie. It was a love letter to jazz music, which I'll talk more about in a future video, hopefully.
What?
Teaser.
Yeah, teaser. Yeah. I thought the character design in this film was something that really stood out to me. It was so unique. I feel like Pixar character design often falls into 3 models they use, boy, mom, and then, pastel spherical character.
Yes.
And this did fall into the pastel spherical route. It looked kind of like off-brand Inside Out. But I thought a lot of the designs especially like the human designs in New York were so unique and expressive. Everyone looked very individual and had these crazy like shape designs that they were going with, and none of them looked weird. It just looked like really, really, really good. So the character design was something that really initially stood out to me. But yeah, I was just a big fan of Soul. I'm glad they didn't spend that much time in The Great Before, because I honestly think those were the weaker sections of the movie. But maybe we can talk more about that later. But
Really?
What did you think about Soul, Kasey?
I really, really like Soul. I was very hesitant to like going into Soul because I feel like Pixar, when dealing with characters of diversity, they always kind of fall, or Pixar, Disney, animation in general, they fall into the kind of, especially in two world type movies, they fall into the they're not going to be a person of color for the majority of the movie, which
Yeah, Princess and the Frog syndrome.
yes, Princess and the Frog syndrome to a T. And I was worried about it, rightfully, because he was a black man before. Well, he got for like 10 minutes. He changed before the opening credits rolled. And
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
Yeah, I thought it was over for him.
Yeah, I
there.
was like, okay, yeah. But with that gripe like aside, it's really impressive. Like, it's a really beautiful movie with a beautiful message. It kind of hits on the grass isn't always greener type.
Yeah.
Like, you have to look at where you are and enjoy where you are, and we'll get into that like more later. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's definitely in the top 3 of all 5 of the movies that we watched. And
Yeah, it's my number. I think it's my number 3. I think.
yeah, I think I'd give it a 8.5 personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the 8.5 as well. I think I forgot to give my rating, but yeah, 8.5 I feel like is a very fair rating for Soul. It's not perfect, but it's really impressive. But let's talk about. I'm interested to talk about the representation issues with this movie, because I hear that a lot, and I understand. Like, I would be totally. I mean, I am frustrated about it. Like, I mean, at least personally, I was kind of, not to say pleasantly surprised, because like I thought it was just going to be like Inside Out, where the whole movie is in, dreamland, whatever.
Yeah.
And I also didn't like that. I mean, race issues aside, I didn't like the Dreamland, Great Before, because the designs didn't feel particularly original to me. It was sort of like I think a lot of the same complaints we made in Over the Moon could be made about the Great Before, in my opinion, at least. Just like bright colors, semi-humanoid, blah blah blah.
Would I sound hypocritical if I said I disagree?
Maybe a little bit, maybe to me. I don't know about the audience, but I do think my counterpoint is that I think the Jerry and Terry designs were wonderful. I thought that was really
yeah.
fun.
I love Jerry and Terry.
Yeah, they were very fun to watch.
How like their interesting like transparency.
Yeah, like
that
they
was
look like
brilliant.
Picasso.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
they sort of like they're one
Surrealism.
dimension, like they fold in on themselves and stuff,
Yeah.
or I guess 2 dimensions. But so I was worried that it would be all in The Great Before, like Inside Out 2, but it wasn't. Like I think most of the rising action was spent in New York, and although Joe Gardner wasn't in Joe Gardner's body, he was a cat. I feel like at least we didn't get to see that character model, that beautiful character model, go to waste. So
Yeah. No, they definitely make up for the fact that he's not in his body by having all the brilliant character designs for black people. Like, the first thing on my notes and the first thing that Twitter was like blowing up about was that like black people look like black people in this movie.
yeah,
Which is like
and not in like a
stereotypical
racist-y way.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
like the they got the big nose, big lip
Yeah.
thing going on. That's always like look. We don't know they're black, but look at the nose. You know.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, where I was very, very impressed of how they kind of like utilized a like little things from black culture. Like, we got the barber shop, and I'm like,
Oh yes, the barber scene was
that was
immaculate.
So yes, chef's kiss. And honestly, like, as upset as I am that even in 2020 going into 2021. I'm gonna say that a lot.
Yeah, it's like the second to
That's
last
like
day
the
of
second
2020.
time, right? That like we just can't seem to let black characters be black characters and have their own story and their own bodies. Like apart from that frustration, I feel like it wouldn't have worked if he was in his own body. Because
Yeah, it's a body swap movie.
yeah,
Which is unfortunate in some ways, but it's a fun gimmick.
it works.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like the whole point of the movie is that 22 learns how to live, like learns the
spark,
benefits of living a life on Earth, and Joe Gardner like essentially like learns to value his life by seeing it from the outside. And I don't think that would have worked like
If he couldn't see his life from the outside.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like the result of this whole body swap thing and there being a lack of black characters actually being the black characters in the movie just comes from the fact that Pete Docter is the director. Not to say he's like a racist. My point is not that he's racist. My point is that his movies are about the human experience. He really, in his films, doesn't care a whole lot about race or dividers or things like that. A lot of his movies actually deal with youth as one of the central dividers of people between young and old. So I think what happened here is that he probably wanted to do some sort of soul jazz movie. He wanted to talk about the human experience, and he didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to trying to get, a minority within animated movies to really have their spotlight as, being their own characters. Although lots of great cultural efforts, like, the barbershop, making all the characters so detailed and honestly just having really fleshed out personalities for them was a great addition. I just feel like Pete Docter, his whole thing is about very generalized human experiences, so he probably was not super focused on the racial themes that he was trying, or sort of the racial, not necessarily themes, but just realities of Hollywood. Like, when you have black characters in an animated movie, you should be trying to treat them right because of all of the, whitewashing crazy stuff that's happened. Like, even nowadays, we saw that with, what TV show was it? Central Park?
Oh, I was going to say Cleopatra, the what we talked about in the Wonder Woman episode.
Yeah, Cleveland from the Cleveland show, I believe is played by a white voice actor, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
No way. What?
Yeah.
And even that was the thing for like Big Mouth too, that like Missy wasn't voiced by a black person.
I didn't watch
and then
it.
they switched it for
I have
season
self-respect.
4.
I didn't watch Big Mouth.
Yeah, same. But like, yeah, so I feel like that's probably where that whole issue came from. But I think that P. Docter does a really good job in telling the story that he wanted to tell. And I think that he sort of might have messed up a little bit from Inside Out, because I feel like Inside Out had a much more focused message than this movie did.
I think it did too.
For me personally, I just don't think that making the whole movie about the pursuit of an art or the pursuit of a passion, and then at the very end being like, but life is worth living because it's life, is really that impactful to me. I didn't feel the turn well enough. And also, just another small point, this movie has a lot of teacher slander in it. Like, the guy's like, God, I hate being a teacher. Teaching sucks. It's the worst.
I know.
I'm like, hey, I'm a teacher. It's not that bad, dude. Just calm down for a second.
And then the mom was like, but Lord knows the world needs more teachers. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I liked Pixar embracing cuss words for the first time, potty humor. All the souls in The Great Before were like, who is it? Joe Gardner was hesitant to say like HE double hockey sticks. And then all the souls were like, hell. It was like, okay, this is Pixar's way of telling us that they're allowing this now. Got
Well,
it.
because that's what
Allowing
kids
this
are
now.
nowadays. Like,
Right. It's foolish to try to avoid that at this point, I think. But yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Like, race wasn't what he was thinking about when making this movie, which is, for better or for worse, I guess.
yeah, like, I don't think that...
Not trying to excuse that he...
No, not at all. I just think that's what the problem was caused by.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
he's thinking about this as a general human experience while using characters that sort of need to be treated in a more precise way. And I just feel like he wasn't focused on
He wasn't in the
necessarily
right-
the right thing.
Yeah, he wasn't in the
Yeah.
right headspace to take that on. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to disagree with you on the message there, though. At least for me, the message was very impactful, because I mean, that's something that I've kind of grappled with for a long time, is So the whole message of the movie is sort of like, the whole film is Joe trying to become this famous jazz musician and insisting that his spark is piano and that's his thing. I'm the piano guy. And he sort of starts to see that as unfulfilling, and he learns that, the real spark of life, as they call it in the movie, is not any one specific thing, but rather it's a more general appreciation of life in every passing moment, right? Rather than pinning yourself to one thing as your purpose, the real approach is to just live and just be happy just living, all facets of life, which to me, at least that's how I interpreted it. I could totally, it's got a vague enough message where that I can see other interpretations. Like Charlie said, it's a very big kind of nebulous message this movie has. So I can see multiple interpretations. That's just how I saw it. I honestly see it. I really like that message of having like sort of the dangers of pinning your whole personality on one thing. Like,
sure,
if you set yourself up as the piano guy, if that falls through, you're nothing, right? Your identity's gone. And so I'm all about the message of kind of just like the real pursuit of happiness is just in living itself, right? Instead of pinning it on any one specific outcome. It reminds me a lot of the original ending of Evangelion, actually. Sort of that,
actually
put aside, anything else. The step forward is just to live and just to make peace with that.
You guys didn't think we could do it. We just did it. We put Evangelion and Soul together into one analysis. This is why we call ourselves Socratic Cinema.
That was pretty dang impressive.
Yeah.
I'll totally co-opt that incredible point that you just made. I think you're right. My problem with it is I feel like he was happy playing piano. I think it's clear that he gained a lot of happiness from it. He got into that trance state whenever he was playing stuff.
Right.
And I think that it's a great message to say that like what you reach for might be unfulfilling to you. Like, oh, I finally reached the point. Like it sort of touches on what's the hunter without the hunted.
Right.
Which I think is a great message to always drive home. Because it's a really interesting quirk of humans. But my problem with it is I think the realization comes too late and then nothing is acted upon once that happens. Like
I agree with you there.
The last scene is him just being like, and now I'm going to live my life. And then it just ends. And it's like, well, whoa. Passion is still a thing in people's lives. People do live their lives, and try and do things that they love. Is that like not what you're doing anymore? Are you not going to pursue it?
Which is interestingly enough exactly how Evangelion ends. Like the final scene is literally just like, you know what? I actually do want to exist.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 and then it ends.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, for me, it really just came off like he was content.
Yeah, I think it's about
like it was just being
like the pursuit
content.
of like the pursuit of happiness itself almost is something that's like a facade. Like it's people, especially in America. There's this big focus on like
screw you, Tommy Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the pursuit of happiness, and you do this, and you live your dream. Really, it's like no, it's not about that. It's about just like existing. This film is one big argument against existentialism, which I think is really funny.
I love it.
I think, and it needed to be said. You know what? The floating rock mentality is kind of dumb. I'm just gonna
like no, everything matters.
Right? It's like nothing matters. Nah, be like everything matters. It just and really like. The best way to refute existentialism is almost to kind of embrace it. Like, and I think you can see that in this movie a little bit. Like, you'd think the opposite of existentialism is like, no, this one thing matters, and I'm going to pin everything on this one thing. When really it's like, yeah, nothing matters, so everything matters. Like, it's like if everyone's special, no one's special. Like,
well, isn't that like sort of what the central thrust of existentialism is? Is it's like there's no true purpose to life, so we put our own meaning onto it?
It depends on whether you're a optimist or pessimist.
Oh, I see.
Because
I'm fully down with the optimist philosophy. I think that saying, look, I don't need external meaning to know that what I'm doing is worth it because it makes me and others around me happy. Like, I don't think that's a bad goal to pursue at all.
Yeah, I think Soul's thing is like the meaning comes from the fact that you're here at all. Like,
which I think I agree with that. I like the message. I just don't think it connects enough with what they were building up before, and I think it's too abrupt of a shift without enough sort of fleshing out at the end for me to really be like, I get that his entire worldview's changed.
I do agree.
Yeah.
It's very. I feel like they tried to show, not tell, almost too much. Like we needed a little bit more, maybe telling, just to kind of round it out.
Yeah.
Like he plays the jazz show and seems to have a wonderful time, and then he's like,
Empty inside.
Yeah, it doesn't feel how
Yeah.
I thought it would feel, which is something that I can resonate with and I think is important. But then it's never really cleared up whether he continues to play with them or not, or because she's like, see you tomorrow, and we never come back to that plot line at all. So it's kind of like maybe it's that you can still have passions, you just have to realize that it's not everything. Like there's more to life than just so. I'm sure Joe can still continue to play jazz, and he will. I mean, his moment of realization comes while he's playing jazz that was inspired by, his time with 22. Mm-hmm. So I think he can still, I think in good faith he can still be a jazz musician. But I think it's just more about realizing that like it's okay if he's not a jazz musician. Like I think that's more of what the film's trying to get at. Maybe it's like it's okay to not be what you think you need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is something that a lot of people need to hear.
Very true.
I think like the lack of kind of flushing out that final, like his final stages is it. I feel like I kind of blame it with the having to circle back to tie up the loose ends with 22.
Sure. I agree.
Because it's like, all right, we got to finish up with Joe and go back to 22's, who's like a depression monster at the moment. And what I would have liked to see is 22's like character development, but like way earlier. Because I feel like the whole like montage and like realization that like, yes, she's like cocky and she's always like, she's collecting like all the failed mentors, but she's also collecting her failures.
Yeah.
Like as well, and like carrying that along with her. Like that's great. That's amazing plot development and character development. But why was that in the last 20 minutes?
Yeah, 22 being a lost soul was not something I saw coming at all, and I thought was a good climax.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I find Disney movies, especially one of the hardest parts with making these deep Pixar movies is you still have to have some sort of bombastic climax for the kids.
Yes.
Like the dragon in Onward or like that. So I think that was a good way of doing it while staying thematically consistent. Because in Onward, it was just kind of like, there's a dragon you have to fight too.
Don't slander Onward.
No, I'm not trying to slander
Phenomenal.
Onward. I loved Onward. I'm not trying to slander it. I'm just saying, like, this movie, I think, did a good job of marrying the entertainment value with the thematic value in the climax, which is hard to do because a lot of movies trip at the finish line, and the climax is just like like the first Wonder Woman, as we've talked about.
Sure, fair.
A lot of movies trip at that finish line, and they just go too over the top. I think this was good and subdued. I thought it was interesting that this movie doesn't really have like a very maniacal villain. Terry's like a villain, but he's not. He's just a guy who cares about his job too much.
I think that's great. I think it's
like
great.
a coworker.
Well, like the antagonist and the protagonist are the same people, which is my favorite bit. I love how Joe's his name, right?
Joe Gardner.
I love how Joe is his own worst enemy. And I think
Literally.
And I think that like his ambition sort of counteracting with what he actually wants, and then also how 22 is like she's finally feeling happiness, but then her self-doubt also trips her over. It's very human, like to be undone by your own sort of negative emotions. I loved that bit of it, but I think Kasey makes a good point in saying like there's great plot development happening with 22. There's great plot development happening with Joe. It feels like we could have just gotten one of them to be the character, like the central character, and then explore their story more.
Just have them be one thing.
Yeah, like why do I need the two of them to share all that time when I feel like Joe is a much more interesting character to me because I can relate to him. I mean, number one, he's a human, right? It's hard for me to be like, well, I wonder what my passions were before I became a person. Like, it's a little like, for a lot of people, including kids, which is actually probably where this movie fails most, actually, is Pete Docter as a Pixar director, has to be, connecting to kids on some sort of level with this.
Yeah, I don't think I would have liked this movie very much watching it as an 8-year-old.
But something like Inside Out, you instantly recognize that. You understand when your anger gets the better of you, or when you feel envious of other people, or when you're scared in a situation.
Yeah.
It's something that everybody can relate to.
This is a little bit too philosophical, I think.
Finding meaning as a Pixar movie, this is clearly geared towards like 30-year-olds. And I think that, for those people, it's a great movie, but it loses the magic of Pixar's universality in all of its themes and sort of the stories it tries to go with.
I think you're right, totally. I wouldn't see younger kids maybe they'd get some enjoyment out of the antics and sort of slapstick that's always there in Pixar, but I don't think they would get it, right?
I don't think they would, which is what these movies should be doing. They should be telling kids
Like
these
morals,
really
yeah.
important lessons. I don't know. This might have a very specific appeal to teenagers, especially during the pandemic. This is probably a really timely movie because I think that this is one of the best arguments against suicide that I've seen personally. Like, because
Ooh,
it
hot
doesn't
take, yeah.
touch on that topic at all. It never mentions the word, never mentions anything related to the act, but it shows you why life is worth living
Yeah.
and why you
Yeah.
have value no matter what you're doing.
And I mean, like back to the existentialism thing. I mean, if you look at the word, I mean, existentialism, It's an
Yeah.
argument against existence, or an argument about existence, I guess. And I mean, existentialism is a slippery slope to nihilism, which when put in the hands of at-risk teens, is a slippery slope into unfortunate events. So I think you're totally right in making that claim. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think too many people like Joe Gardner, get pinned on the wrong idea of what life is about. Like, there's one goal for them and like one idea of making it, and when that doesn't happen, you don't know what to do, or when you feel like you don't have a spark, you don't know what to do. I think this movie is very reassuring to people who don't have quote unquote their life figured out yet, because you don't need to figure it out. You just have to, the only thing you have to do is keep living. And I think that's a really reassuring message.
The best college kids movie to ever exist.
Literally.
This is literally made for just us as like
Yeah, about
the age range.
anyone who's a senior in high school, senior in college. This is like
Yeah.
your movie.
Yeah, this is going to make you feel some things.
The pick me up that we all need.
Senioritis cure.
Just watch Soul.
Yeah, this year with senioritis has been, I will say, not as bad as I expected. But one thing I want to talk about this movie that I think we would be, doing it a disservice not to talk about would be the music in this film.
Ooh, don't even get me started.
Both of you interact with music in some, sort of different way. James, you actually, play and make music. Kasey, you dance to music and use it as, as a part of your creative medium. There's music in video games too, so that sort of works with me. But I'm wondering, how was this, music and this representation of jazz for you guys in this movie?
Lovely.
Lovely.
I was living.
Effervescent. That word means frothy, so maybe not effervescent. Like bubbly. No, it was lovely. It was wonderful. I put this in my trio of wonderful jazz movies that I'll talk about some other time. I wonder what they could
Second
be.
teaser.
It's almost like we've done a podcast on all of them now. But no, yeah, but I thought the soundtrack was beautiful. Pixar movies aren't typically musicals, are they? That's a Disney thing, huh?
Oh, you have me thinking now.
Oh, Pixar's aren't.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of 3D animated musicals, and they're all Disney.
They're all Disney.
All Disney.
Frozen and Frozen 2 and Frozen shorts on Disney Plus.
Just all
Olaf's
only
Merry Merry
Frozen.
Christmas.
Oh, how could I forget Olaf's Merry Merry Christmas? Oh, question. What was the short that goes along with Soul? I didn't...
I don't know.
They released it on Disney Plus. I just didn't find it.
Oh,
There was a short put out on the same day.
I have no idea.
I have no idea either, but there is one. I know there is one somewhere.
Yeah.
Let me figure it out.
I will say, of the Christmas Day releases, Soul definitely beats Wonder Woman
Wonder
84.
Yeah.
They won Christmas. Did you guys watch? Did any of you guys watch this on Christmas?
I wasn't able to, no.
Did I? Yes, I did. I watched this movie on Christmas instead of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I watched it on Christmas morning, and then I think I watched Wonder Woman the day after. And that was a mistake. Wonder Woman was so bad, dude.
man.
I wonder if we'll release this one before or after the Wonder Woman episode, so you guys...
Oh, you can...
These jokes will make sense one way, but maybe not the other.
Okay, wait, here we go. I got it. The name of the short is Burrow. And I'm reading this on Decider.com. If the great Fred Rogers were still alive today, he would surely love Burrow. Burrow gets to the heart of what it means to be a good neighbor. The star is a young rabbit who is in the process of decorating her new home, which, given that she's a rabbit, is a literal hole in the ground. Rabbit doesn't care that it's small, though it's hers, and she can't wait to decorate by putting a disco ball in the bathroom. Some neighboring vermin burrow into her home and then show her the floor plans for their much larger, much more elaborate burrows just down the street. But I guess at the end of it, they become friends or something.
It's about gentrification.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that sounds nice. I'll give it a watch. It's probably like 5
Will never be
minutes.
as good as Bao or Dumpling
I
or whatever
love
the name
Bao.
of it.
What about that one with the little bird on the shore?
Piper.
I love that
Piper
one.
was the water in that. Oh my gosh.
That one was.
So good. Chef's
Casey said,
kiss.
"Oh my gosh."
Which one was the one with the hot snow cone salesman on the beach with the dude
That was
was-
before Inside Out, I think.
Yeah,
I like that one.
was oh wow.
Yeah, that one was crazy. What about the one with the I don't remember. Never mind.
Wonderful.
Do you remember the old ones, like with the guy playing chess against himself?
That is
Oh,
one of my
yes.
favorites of all time.
And like the
Delightful.
birds.
Yeah,
on
the birds on the thing,
wire.
or the rabbit that like bounces down. I don't know. That was in the collections. We have like a
Wow,
DVD somewhere
that's
of all the shorts.
crazy.
Yeah, those are Pixar shorts are lovely. I wish Disney would do more. What movie had Bao? Frozen?
No, because I watched it. Wait, maybe it was Frozen.
Wait, Frozen's
no, Frozen's
Disney.
yeah. It was between Piper and this one. Right?
Well, wasn't Piper was Finding Dory?
I thought it was Moana. Oh no, it was Finding
Moana's
Dory.
Disney.
Steel Trap. My mind. Wow.
Your
Hold on.
mind
I'll look
is so
it up.
powerful.
So powerful.
I know they're gonna run out of things to be anthropomorphic. Like we have the fish, we have the toys, we have souls, we have emotions. What's next? This movie's about your hair.
Yeah, let's
Incredibles 2.
well, we have an idea of what they're doing next. They're saying, what if Italian people had souls? Right? Isn't that what the next Pixar movie is?
Luca.
Luca.
Call me by your name, but Pixar.
I know they said Coco, but Italian.
Casey's eyes lit up when I said call me by your name.
Please, no.
Timothy Chalamet should be in it.
I've never seen Call Me by Your Name.
I haven't either, but I know there's some interesting stuff in that movie.
Yeah, maybe we can.
It's let's
watch it as a group.
Isn't it a little like pedophilic?
Well,
Only if you think about it.
yes. In our
I'm
terms,
staring
yes.
Casey dead in the eyes. Oh, don't tell me it's a culture thing. Please don't tell me it's about like it's different
It's
in
because
Italy.
the age of consent is different, but it's still weird.
That don't count to me.
In what country?
Yeah,
In Italy, the age of consent's like way lower, but it's still like man's is 30 with never mind. That's a spoiler. God.
It's not a spoiler. I know the gist of it, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
well-
it's like a 30-year-old and a 16-year-old or something.
Yeah.
So kids watching Soul right now, sorry for that.
I'm so sweetie. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
This is the real world. This is what Soul was talking about.
Yeah, just wait till Luca comes out. and
The
we'll
real
see.
meaning of life is Call Me by Your Name. Shockingly.
Oh, I hope
Elio,
not.
Elio.
I don't know. Is that
Not
the guy's name?
Elio. Sorry, that was
Elio.
so Elio.
Elio.
Elio and Oliver.
It's like if I started saying Igbo instead of Igbo.
That's horrible. That's
That's worse.
caused
That's
a
way worse.
Physical reaction.
I know Casey looked like Igor after that. Igor.
It's like Yoruba. And so Yoruba.
Ooh.
See?
I don't know what that word was in the first place. So
Jalapeno. Jalapeno.
see, the thing is, you would say jalapeno. I feel like.
Well, at least you put
Tortilla.
the
Tortilla.
tortilla. Oh, it's like in Napoleon Dynamite. They say, "Make yourself a dang quesadilla." That is the most white trash movie ever.
This is what Soul needed: is just more white trash people mispronouncing words.
Oh my! I'd like to be excluded from that narrative.
I'm erasing myself from the narrative.
What did we think of the hippie dude in this movie?
He was cool.
The captain.
Yeah.
He was fine. I don't know. I feel like they could have maybe done more with him. He was all right though. I didn't mind him.
He really is just like catalyst.
He had it. He had it figured out already. Is his thing. Like
That's true.
sometimes in movies, there's the guy who already has it figured out. It's like, you idiot. It's in front of you all along, right?
Turns out it's the sign twirler.
Right. Yeah. And I think this was the guy who already has it figured out. Like
Could we say that this guy is the mentor figure, the Obi-Wan Kenobi to 22's Skywalker or
Totally.
whoever Skywalker?
Totally. I think that's fair. I mean, who else would it be?
I mean, fair enough. I don't know. I think that he was an interesting side character. And honestly, I think that the side characters are one of the best parts of this movie.
Dorothy.
I have a question about a scene that kind of confused me. I forgot her name, but the girl who plays the trombone.
Oh, yeah.
She came to the door and was like, I quit. Actually, I never wanted to quit, actually. By the way, I'm still going to do lessons anyways. I was like, why did this... Was she just embarrassed that she was good at trombone? I don't get why she would want to quit.
Middle schoolers are cruel.
Okay, this is the other thing. This is like completely antithetical to the like movie's message. Like she was saved by finding her passion, which makes it weirder to me that they would include this character, which could have been a great moment for it to be like, oh, so you're not going to play trombone, but like you love living? Oh, okay, that's interesting, but doesn't vibe with anything we've seen so far. It would be a good callback.
Yeah, it would be a good like
twist came.
First step. I think what they were trying to do is like, okay, body switch. We sure are trying to find 22 her spark so that Joe can come back. Here's what we're going to do now. This kid sets them on the rabid goose chase of like, find your spark. Mine is trombone, right?
Yeah.
Well, only for them to realize that maybe the kid was wrong too. I'm just trying to, maybe she was a red herring. I don't know.
I mean, for me, it was definitely just like, I think it was a scene directed towards his love, like his actual love of teaching. Because he's always, like, as Charlie was saying, he's like, teaching.
Well, but 22 is the only one who interacted with her in that scene.
Yeah, that's true. But like, it's showing it's not necessarily his, soul, but it's his impact, if that makes sense.
Sure, because there was some sort of like hinting that maybe Joe's like own personality influenced 22's behavior in his body, which I thought was really weird, and I didn't like that very much.
I think they didn't really come back to that to like debunk it. It kind of got flushed into all the things that Joe was saying to 22 to kind of hurt her feelings.
I think Joe was trying to rationalize why he didn't.
Like why it worked and how he was responsible for it. Whether or not that's true, we'll never know.
Stability projection. I'm just saying.
You beat me to
Did
it.
I use that right?
Yeah.
But
That's our thing, stability projection.
It is. Casey, that's your thing. Don't let me take this from you.
Thing.
Don't let me take this from you. Don't let me colonize stability projection. Did I make you uncomfortable, Charlie?
No, I go back to figure out our lunch order. Our lunch order just got canceled, actually. The place got canceled.
Oh.
So now I had to figure out this burger order. I come back and people are like, stability projections.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, Casey and I had a lovely conversation while you were out.
Oh, perfect. I have no idea where we are.
We were just talking about sort of like more on that scene with the trombone girl.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that they should have just used it to fit the final message of the film. Again, I feel like they have these tiny moments and these good side characters to come in with that message. I guess that the hairdresser or the barbershop owner, whatever you want to call him.
A barber.
You know what? That would be the correct term for someone who works at a barbershop would be a barber. But his whole message about like, well, I didn't intend on cutting hair, but I love doing it. And you know, like my entire passion in life sort of shifted and I'm still fine for it. I think that's a good sort of beginning step for the end message.
It was
of the
very
film.
good.
But I had to remember that happened to look back at it. I feel like there should be more obvious moments than just that single one.
More rising action.
Yeah, definitely a lot more rising action.
I think that was a really good piece of rising action, and maybe combined with Trombone Girl, it would have worked a little better. Because really, the chunks of the rising action were once I consider like the first act done when they switch bodies, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so really our pieces of rising action in the second act are like talking to, I think her name was Chloe.
Chloe.
Was she the trombone girl?
I think so. Let's go with
How do you
Chloe.
guys remember this, by the way? I just like see a
Did I put
character
her
and I'm
name
like,
down?
I don't know.
keep
Anyways,
a list of characters.
was the Chloe scene, the barber scene, and like the mom scene, and that was like
the mom scene.
that was lovely. That
was good.
And like how the perspective kind of switched from 22's voice to Joe's voice, so you see that like this is Joe making his stand against his mom. That was a really, really good scene.
So good.
She was a tailor.
Yes, she was.
Which is
a seamstress.
Is that the proper term for a female tailor?
Yeah.
Oh. Seamster is a
Seamster.
boy.
Seamster.
Seamsters and seamstresses.
So now you're reminding me of the Teamsters from Irishman, and now we're back to.
Oh man,
to
organized
everything from Better All the
crime.
Time.
Oh my goodness. Sheesh.
Soul, but make it organized crime.
Yikes.
I don't
Maybe
want to
the-
shoot people.
Yeah, maybe
anymore.
the next Pixar movie will be about like and it's in Italy. Maybe they'll have the mafia in it.
Ooh,
Pixar
have some
movie.
poverty
Maybe.
subplot.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Some debts.
Here's my bet on Luca. I think so. We know nothing about it besides it's about a boy named Luca,
And
who's
he
from
has a
Italy.
friend, I think.
And he has a
friend.
friend. I think that knowing Pixar, I feel like they're gonna go for the whole food thing in Italy. I don't know. I feel like that's where they take it.
Probably.
I know that food's gonna look scrumptious.
It is. Pixar food is second only to
So
Ghibli
good.
food.
Literally.
What I would really like to see if he's a boy working in a winery, just because that would look really beautiful in Pixar's animation style, just like the
Oh, I
fields
bet.
of all those grapes in the Italian countryside. The most beautiful thing ever, by the way. The houses there are very cheap, but also you're in the middle of nowhere.
That's
so-
fine with me. That is fine
I'm
with me.
Really?
in Italy.
Let me go to
I'm
Italy.
in Italy.
Mentally, I am in the Italian countryside.
Literally.
I bet, yeah, I would like to see them play the food angle. I mean, I think it'll be akin to Coco, but Italian. And so his passion, instead of, tocca la chitarra, will be Italian food.
Whoa, that was.
That was some Spanish 3 right there.
Yeah, I'd like to see them play the food angle. It's obviously a coming of age story. Because what film about a young boy isn't? What film about anyone isn't, though? Like, every movie's just a coming of age story.
Wait, there's a picture from Luca.
Oh, there is?
Or at least a concept image. I'm going to show it off to my co-hosts, but you guys can imagine it. They're jumping into an Italian bed of water from a cliffside.
Oh, fun!
So it's just, it might just be a coming of age story, just like straight. They're living in a, it doesn't look a lot like Italy, if I'm being honest. It's just sort of green and blue.
Have you been to Italy?
No.
Oh, okay. You got me like first the house thing. I was like, what? Has Charlie been to the motherland?
You never know. Maybe I'm more traveled than you would think.
Maybe. I've never left the country.
One of my favorite stories about Italy is that in this town next to a winery, they accidentally switched the pipes one day, and suddenly instead of water, wine was flowing through all of the pipes,
Oh, period.
which is
Jesus
the
vibes.
most Italian thing that could have possibly happened.
Yeah.
And I love it. But again, I'm not living in the countryside in Italy. I don't want to grow all my own food. I feel like that's a lot of work.
I would love it. I would love it so
Cottage.
much.
Give me cottage core.
Cottage core. Give me Wild West Frontier core. I'm a Frontier core person. That's what I want. Soft academia meets Frontier core.
Yes. Shoot
Wow, that does describe you. Oh my
It's-
God.
Yeah. Like, yes, I will do a shoot off duel in my turtleneck.
Oh, come on now. I should have worn it today. All right. Listen. Do any of you guys have anything to say about Soul before?
No.
Casey, do you want to spiel?
Oh, I
Do
can
you
spiel.
want to?
Okay, wait.
I can try it.
I have one tiny thing. I love Richard Ayoade, and I think he did a great job in this movie. That is all.
Who did he play?
He played one of the soul sorters. A slight British accent. I think he was Terry. He wasn't the like accountant dude. He was the other one.
Oh,
But,
it was the girl Terry.
one of
I
the
mean, the guy
Terrys.
Terry.
One of the
Guy,
Terrys.
yeah, Guy
Well, the-
Terry.
I see.
But he's just great, and I love him. And you guys should all watch his stuff. But
Okay.
Casey, spiel's
Give it your best go.
All right. Will you help me?
I'll help you wherever you need it.
All right. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, non-binary pals. We're at the end of our podcast. If you're interested in seeing more of our stuff, please consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video. Then you can go and visit our social media. On Instagram, we're at Socratic_Cinema. In our bio, you can go to our link tree. There you can find our Patreon if you want to send us some cheddar cheese so that we can keep doing this.
Cheddar.
And depending on your tier, you can get a personal shout out in our description. Once a month, we'll say your name in our videos. And yeah, it just really, really helps us out. And on the link tree, you can find our Twitter. You can find all of our podcasts on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get good content, good podcasts. But we have been Socratic Cinema. Adios.